Okay, in this video I speak in English, and this is got an idea to make a video about these kind of hidden games in military hardware, as in when thinking about what something costs and what kind of cost effectiveness there is, how I assume, and I give some explanations. And I ask forgiveness about my English because it's not my native language, so I cannot speak freely. I have to translate it in my mind. So I will first start with this one that I think is very underappreciated and what people don't seem to understand yet. I think the ideas of this, there's different kind of trends what the media will generate, and people who are not that usually not that into military knowledge and this kind of or don't have time to absorb it, then they have very limited amount of knowledge, so they usually generate their opinions or views or based on what is popular at given times. And there are some hidden games that people I think have missed, and first of them is autocannon, in my opinion, because there is lots of hype in this kind of, this is my assumption, this is I'm not certain I'm right, but I'm quite sure that it will be like this, especially when you think, when you go into future, that will stand the test of time, as they say, as these autocannons, because why they are important? They have high fire rate, they have different kind of ammunitions that you can use in different kind of roles, and then you have these airburst type munitions that become very relevant because of different kind of drone warfare. They are good against missiles also, and of course you can also shoot, for example, ducks if you want to go duck hunting with them. It's no different than shotgun, but you can shoot longer range, and then it only explodes in front of the target as a shotgun shot, and then you can do this kind of more advanced munitions also that have all kind of different kind of capabilities, like they can have rocket motors, they can change trajectory in the air and different kinds, so you can track aerial threats and very accurately hit them. And if you don't, you have high fire rate. It is the advantage. For example, if you have anti-air missile, you use it once, and that's a very expensive asset and it's hard to make. But if you make only one ammunition round for something like autocannon, it's much easier to make, and you have multiple of them, and it's cost effective. The laser is cost effective to use because it costs low amount of funding to shoot once, but there I assume again that laser weaponry is very relevant now, but in the future it might not be, as in if you invest heavily now on laser weaponry, they might lose effectiveness in the future because there can be some countermeasures like coatings, for example. If you have coating in missile that will change the trajectory of light, and then it can be that it becomes less effective because it's light, the laser. And if you curve the light away from the surface, it's not, the heat doesn't generate as fast. So there can be this kind of countermeasures against laser weaponry, and there can even be some assets that become immune to laser weapons because they have this kind of countermeasures against them. But it's very hard to imagine any aerial asset that need to travel fast in the air, as in it cannot weigh that much. You would have to, it is possible, but you would have to then revolutionize some kind of composite armor that you can get very, very, very light armor that is very durable, that can stand these tungsten pellets that explode with high velocity. And it's very hard to imagine that you cannot penetrate with kinetic penetrate or something like missile, for example. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I say that I'm not seeing it happening anytime soon. And then you can change the ammunition for them to some rocket propeller systems and all kind of, and this especially this naval use. You can use it in naval use. The autocannons become relevant again because in earlier eras the battleships were dominant because they had lots of cannons, and the ranges were pretty short because they did have non-missiles. They didn't have missiles. Then missiles came, and then these cannons lost relevance, and all ships started to use missiles because you have longer range. The missiles are still the first option that you use, this so-called this first volley or alpha strike capability. And you can still have that. It doesn't mean if you have lots of autocannons that you cannot have alpha strike with missiles. You can, and you can still have anti-air missiles and all the normal assets, but it just means that this autocannon is an asset that people tend to underestimate. And this, especially these higher caliber autocannons, these 30 mm or 40 mm autocannons are very common in infantry fighting vehicles, but you can have different kind of uses. It only imagination how you can make different kind of designs. You can basically install small autocannons to everywhere, and you can even go lower, for example 20 mm, 25 mm calibers, and they can be artificial controlled because there is this also revolution going on with development of artificial intelligence, and that is this very good asset. And then this is very old technology. Phalanx uses this kind of minigun, this chain gun that use normal bullets, not airburst bullets. It's low caliber, but it's high rate of fire, and then it just sweeps the area with automatically. You don't have to control it. There is computer that calculates it, this software that detects target, then logs target, and then shoots the target and tracks it. It does everything automatically. It's this kind of automatic defense system, but you can as well use that code, or they must have more advanced codes now because it's something like 70s tech. So you can install it to any cannon or any weapon. You can even install it to normal machine gun, but they don't because this machine gun is not as relevant as defense weapon as is something like chain gun or autocannon or something. So they use it as those. So this autocannon is better because this ammunition development, they didn't have airburst munitions back then. It's relatively new innovation. So they use the chain gun because this high rate of fire make it more or better. But now you can use this airburst munitions and different kind of capabilities in autocannon with chain gun has not. So, or it doesn't have, so you can use it against surface ship, you can use it against air targets, you can use it as shore bombardment. You can just imagine, for example, what capabilities they have now even, and they will only get more advanced. For example, 127 mm naval gun. In autocannon, they can shoot 120 km guided rounds because they are rocket propeller, and they can load directly from ammunition storage. They can instantly switch between different these ammunition types, so you can shoot as long as, and they're water cooled, so they're not probably overheating, so you can just continue shooting for a long period of time, and they just reload automatically from ammunition storage. You don't have to reload it anymore. They have developed it so, and you can just instantly change that. Now I shoot airburst munitions against some area threat, and now I shoot something like guided munitions or anything. But you basically need probably only 3 types of munitions, and it's what they have now made. The usual limitation is 3 different munitions. You need airburst munitions, then you need these rocket propeller munitions that have long range and guided, and then you can need normal munitions if you want to make normal bombardment, which usually is a shore bombardment scenario when you support some kind of shore mission or something. So that's basically one asset that I think is very underestimated now. People don't focus too much on them. But for example, what kind of infantry fighting vehicle might be very relevant, and why in the future this artificial intelligence development makes it relevant, because you can just make it automatic, the turret. You don't have to control it. You don't need to have crew. You can even leave the vehicle. You can just park infantry fighting vehicle in somewhere and put it automatic mode, and then the artificial intelligence will scan the surrounding and shoot any area threats or drones or anything in the area. It will protect the whole area. And you can even park it near something like artillery or something like logistic points or ammunition depot or anything you want to protect and just leave. It's multi-use tool then. You can go to logistic missions and go to use it as armored personnel carrier, as in you can put troops in there, or they can go inside and travel somewhere, but you can always park it somewhere to have this kind of a static, basically closing weapon system in there. That the infantry fighting vehicle carries the closing weapon system. For example, these older infantry fighting vehicles don't have it yet. If you think about Stryker or Bradley or basically anything, something like Marder or any infantry fighting vehicle, basically they don't have this. It's not they don't use airburst munitions, and usually, or even if they do, they might not be artificial controlled in the same way that it's fully autonomous. It can be, or they can be some updates that they have made it, but originally when they have designed the concept, it isn't. So it's lack this capability that cannot be used in the same mean. But then there are, for example, something you can put higher caliber autocannons in infantry fighting vehicles also. But they usually put a lower caliber. But you can also make this kind of specialized, for example, 76 millimeters, because 76 millimeters is usually in naval use, and then you can make it ground use to use it as a dual platform that you can. For example, have this kind of air defense platform for its 76 millimeter, and then you can, for example, use it as a shore defense platform. 76 millimeter is large caliber enough to be used in shore defense scenarios, but something like 40 millimeter might not be as effective, as in you can change it to normal, for example, high explosive rounds, and then just shoot with high rate of fire to relatively large range. That if some landing boat or something is closing the shore or something, then you can just rapidly shoot it, and it will take probably enough damage to become a problem, because it's higher caliber, higher range, so it's at this dual use that it can also support these coastal troops very efficiently. And if there is some kind of, for example, warships that will shoot missiles to the coastal troops or any coastal asset, for example, coastal missile batteries, you can protect them with airburst munitions with this kind of 76 millimeter higher caliber, this kind of a platform. So they are very, very multi-used. That I assume that this kind of platforms will become mainstay in all armies because of their kinetic capabilities and these multi-use capabilities. Some armies might install instead laser weapon to all of their platforms, that they have only laser weapons, and then someone generates some kind of a coating that make them immune to laser weapons, and then suddenly your platforms are outdated, and then you just have to take those laser weapon turrets out and substitute them with autocannons anyway. So you might just as well do the autocannon route now, because they will be relevant probably even 100 years to the future. They will probably never be irrelevant. There can be some, if you play some kind of science fiction games or something, there will be can be some kind of a path to develop it further with some kind of Gauss weaponry or some kind of rail guns or this kind of a thing, if they can make it functional in this kind of a mass production environment. Then you just will substitute with those instead. But before they have anything like this operational, the autocannon is very relevant, and it's very important asset, and it's underrated, and people don't necessarily understand how good it is. And especially these developments that they have had now, that they do have made it better even, as in these all kind of how popular these drones are and everything have made it way better. And then, for example, if go to the drones, I think there is this also this trendy road in roads is different kind of exploding drones or bomb dropping drones or something. But the drone development that will be, in my opinion, very relevant will be this kind of drones that shoot projectiles or anything They can shoot rockets, they can shoot missiles, anything. But drones that shoot are, for obvious reasons, very good because you can immediately attack the target after seeing it when you shoot projectiles or shoot anything. But if you need to explode near target, or you need to hit the target to explode, or if you need to drop bombs above the target, you need to travel to the target. And if, for example, there are something assets like autocannons that are automatic controlled or anything that can shoot drones down, then they can attack these drones before they travel there. So it makes them very harder to destroy. But if you can just start shoot them, you can immediately unleash them. And these drones can even develop the artificial intelligence capabilities, same as these automatic weapons, as in they can automatically track and notice some target and automatically open fire to these targets. It's way more efficient than if you have to travel to the target and then hit it to explode. It's completely, it's very, very much better. So to envision, for example, some kind of future drone warfare, it can even lead to some kind of scenarios where there are thousands of small drones that are autonomous, not human controlled, and then just fly everywhere and detect target and shoot them with projectile weapons like submachine guns or pistols or something like that. It's very possible with the technology we have now, but it doesn't exist because it needs to be developed, and the artificial intelligence is especially very hard to develop to teach that kind of environment because there are so many factors that can go wrong. They can start to shoot each other, they can start to shoot their own, they can fail to detect targets, they can fail to understand the environment, they can hit each other, fly to each other because if you need to be these farm capabilities, if you need to have them to be, for example, connected to each other wirelessly, then any kind of interference can demolish it, and they have to be offline guided. That each of these units are offline, and they can make the decisions independently without without any connection to any other. So those are two that come to my mind, and maybe this is this short video, but that's two assets that are, in my opinion, very underrated. And yeah, maybe that's it. I try to think something more, but there are also these very efficient assets that are not underrated, that are very appreciated, like glide bombs or artillery or guided artillery munition. This kind, they are very mainstay. Artillery is very important, but it is appreciated. It is not underrated. It is very appreciated in popular culture, or everyone knows how important it is. But these autocannons is maybe kind of this kind of blind spot, and this kind of drones that shoot anything can also be a bit blind spot, or how useful they can be in because all of the focus is in these exploding drones. Because they are easy to make, you can buy them from civilian markets and you can modify them and this kind, and they have lots of this kind of hype. But it's not that much harder to produce this kind of a shooting drones if you know how to make it and you have a product line for it. But they mass produce these civilian drones now, and they are not easy. They cannot be altered to be shooting drones because you need more propellers for the shooting drones. They have always only one propeller, these civilian drones, but you need two propellers to be able to shoot because the drone needs to adjust the recul. You need to when you shoot it flies backwards, so you need to adjust the propellers, and for that you need two propellers that are put on top of each other, that they can adjust the force, and then the drone don't become uncontrolled and you can still shoot with it. And if the drone shoots with larger weapons like for example assault rifle or something, anything, it then needs to be larger, the drone. You cannot carry it anymore in your backpack, but if you only shoot it something like pistol or something very light submachine gun, it can, I think, be possible to fit in a backpack. And that will become the thing that I think that will be something that, for example, you have a platoon of infantry and then everyone carry one of these autonomous pistol drones or machine gun drones in backpack. Then everyone just suddenly unleash it, put it on, and they just tip somewhere to shoot someone. And that's pretty bad or that's basically free damage that you make the opponent or something harass them, that suddenly something tens of drones fly from nowhere and start to shoot people. And they cause damage fast because they automatically shoot it on notice. From first notice they start to shoot the target. If they would be this kind of exploding drones, they would need to fly to the target, and then the opponents would have more time to react or counter them. So for that reason it's very, very kind of underrated, because people don't talk about that much, but it's very obvious if you think about any science fiction kind of books or stories or anything, then you can understand that asset, because all kind of a science fiction editing have this kind of asset. Even this kind of a role-playing game, like something like Shadowrun or Cyberpunk or anything, they always have drones that fly and shoot. It's this kind of a mainstay in any science fiction scenario. But maybe, I don't know. I don't now just remember it or get to anything. Maybe that's it. Yeah, 2 underrated platforms in my opinion. Shooting drones and then autocannons. And autocannons, the reason for it is this artificial intelligence development and ammunition development. They were not that relevant, for example, 20 years ago or more, but they are now, because there have been developments that make them that very much kind of support the autocannon as a platform. This development, they are suddenly very relevant